Your Excellency.
Excellency. Excellency.
Ophilia, she's a heck of a gal. She comes off as soft and kind, yet when push comes to shove, she has some of the strongest resolve of the 8 party members. Also, she's the earliest healer you can get in the game, so yeah, she's pretty cool. Of course, beyond just being a healer, she has plenty of qualities, one of those coming from her stat line. 2 of Ophilia's best stats happen to be her elemental attack and her elemental defense. Given her base class, it's only natural that she would want a high elemental defense stat. And for those who aren't aware, the higher a traveler's elemental defense is, the stronger their healing spells are. Likewise, you have elemental attack, which happens to be rather good. This is nice as it can complement jobs and skills that are focused on dealing magic damage. So, on the chance that you wish to make her into a scholar or sorcerer, she should be able to deal lots of damage to foes. Yet, there are a few issues with doing such a thing, which I'll get into later. For now, more on Ophilia. Ophilia also comes with 2 talents. The talents in question are Guide and Summon. Guide, for the most part, is more or less used for the completion of side stories in the overworld. However, one aspect of the Guide talent is that it allows the traveler to summon whoever they're currently guiding into battle. The NPC's performance in battle will be determined based on the amount of spades that appear prior to the summon. The more spades present, the stronger they are, and more often than not, the stronger they are, the less uses they have in battle. Likewise, each NPC will have a limited amount of summons before they return back to where you got them from. This is similar to Primrose's talents. However, Ophilia must meet a certain level requirement to guide stronger NPCs as opposed to Primrose, who has to make a percentage check. Sometimes during battles, enemies will attack the summoned NPC instead of Ophilia. After an indefinite amount of turns, they will retreat from battle. But not to worry, they can still be summoned after the fact and will follow you after battle as long as you have uses left. Depending on the NPC summoned and where you might find yourself, you may want to conserve the amount of uses for that specific NPC, as you'll only be allowed to guide one NPC at any given point. Of course, if you also have Primrose in your party, then you could guide one NPC with Ophilia and one NPC with Primrose. Beyond talents, there's Ophilia's base job, the Cleric. The Cleric job is mostly support focused, as a majority of the moves are used to the benefit of the party rather than the dismay of the foe. This includes moves such as Heal Wounds and Heal More, which are full party heal spells, Sheltering Veil, which boosts an ally's elemental defense stat, Reflective Veil, which reflects elemental attacks back at the foe, Revive, and Alfric's Allspices, which allows the traveler to trigger a skill twice per turn. The only offensive moves that the job comes with are Holy Light and Luminescence, light-based magic moves that target one foe and all foes respectively. Because of this, Ophilia is more or less slotted into a supportive role. However, while she can take up jobs such as the Scholar and Sorcerer, it may not be in the best interest of the player, and I'll go over that later. For now, we can discuss jobs that greatly combine with the Cleric job. The first job on the list is the Dancer job. The Dancer job is a rather good fit for Ophilia, as it not only complements the base Cleric job as an ally support unit, but it also comes with dark magic. The Dancer job is similar to the Cleric job in the sense that most of the moves present are support based with a couple of damaging skills here or there. It's best to think of it as a counterpart to the Cleric job. Each support skill from the Dancer job is used to buff one specific stat. This can include, but not limited to, the Lion's Dance that buffs an ally's attack and the Panther Dance that buffs an ally's speed. That being said, the icing on the cake has to come from the Dancer's divine skill, Sealtesia's Seduction. Sealtesia's Seduction grants an ally the ability to target multiple allies and foes with the moves that normally target a single ally or foe. This makes the Cleric Dancer job combination incredibly potent, as not only can you use the Dancer skills to buff your entire party, but you can also use the Cleric skills as well. This can become extremely abusable to foes that resort to magic a lot of the time, as one of the Cleric's skills in question is Reflective Veil, which allows a single ally to reflect magic back. Combine that with Sealtesia's Seduction, and now every party member is reflecting magic back to the foe. It's a rather nasty combination that suits Ophilia very well. And while not as potent, we also have the Merchant job. The Merchant job comes with polearms and bows, and while that can be good for breaking, the main focus is going to be coming from the skills it comes with, since Ophilia's physical attack isn't the greatest. The Merchant job comes with a mixture of skill types that can work fairly well with Ophilia, such as Rest, Trade Winds and Trade Tempest, and Donate BP. Rest is a zero-cost move that takes the traveler's turn and in exchange heals HP, SP, and status ailments. This is really good for someone like Ophilia, as she'll be using a lot of SP costly moves a good amount of the time. So having a skill that can restore SP and cure status ailments means she doesn't have to take multiple turns healing herself. Next, there's Donate BP. Donate BP donates BP. It's really that simple of a skill, yet really good with the right setup. As Ophilia is already an ally support unit thanks to her Cleric Job base, she can easily adapt the skill into her kit. Finally, there's Trade Winds and Trade Tempest, moves that deal wind damage to a single foe and multiple foes respectively. As previously mentioned, Ophilia has a high elemental attack stat, so she is able to make use of heavy hitting magic. And since she already has light magic at her disposal, the wind magic will give her more coverage during battles. However, this might be the best extent of her magical capability since she can still focus on being a support unit first and foremost without compromising on anything. This is where the issues I briefly teased come into play with the Scholar and the Sorcerer jobs alike. Now, while Ophilia does have a really good elemental attack stat, because her base is support oriented, the two roles conflict. Since the Scholar job is heavily offense based, while with it being made up of mostly offensive spells, Ophilia would find herself in such a broad position that whether or not she's attacking or healing that turn is completely in the air. This is different from something such as Hunter Therion, as he can focus on debuffing the foes every turn and maximize his role as a debuff bot to the fullest. Moreover, when there is a turn where he cannot set up any more debuffs, his base class already comes with enough offensive skills for him to make use of. Ophilia can somewhat be the same since she has light magic, but by allocating her abilities to both offense and support, she would effectively be a master of none, and to some extent, you might find that her performance overall suffers as a result because she doesn't specialize in anything in particular. The same can be said about the Sorcerer job, as it is effectively the same as the Scholar in some sense. While Ophilia can definitely hit very hard with Sorcerer magic, she'll be faced with the question, do I heal and support, or do I attack? Once again, this really boils down to the potential of min-maxing a Traveler, and the trade-off here for better damaging magic is consistency. There's no guarantee that you'll end up spamming hard-hitting magic when your party ends up with low HP at any given point. So, all I could recommend is sticking with a secondary job that most can benefit from, such as the Starseer Job. The Starseer Job is obnoxiously amazing with the Cleric Job, as both have a hyperfixation on supporting allies. In terms of support skills, the Starseer Job comes with BP Boost, Divination, Starsong, Celestial Intervention, Ethereal Healing, and Moon's Reflection. BP Boost grants an ally the ability to recover 2 BP per turn instead of 1. This can make it easier to stack up strong hitting moves for both her and her allies alike. Divination increases an ally's critical rate, and Starsong raises everything else to one ally. Ethereal Healing grants HP regeneration to every ally for an indefinite amount of turns. This skill isn't nearly as good if you have Saving Grace on each of your allies, as you can abuse HP that way. And finally, there's Moon's Reflection, which is Reflective Veil's counterpart. Rather than reflecting magical damage, Moon's Reflection reflects physical damage. I find that Reflective Veil is much better since it's impossible to dodge magic, while you can increase evasion and dodge physical moves. Still, nice nonetheless. Of course, the Starseer also comes with a couple of damaging moves, those being Shooting Stars and Stora's Prophecy. Shooting Stars is a spell that attacks 3 times with 3 different types of elements, including wind, light, and dark. Moreover, it attacks all foes. I find that this skill complements Ophilia very well since her magical attack is rather good. On the other hand, you have the divine skill Stora's Prophecy. Stora's Prophecy is also an all-enemy hitting move that deals damage based on the amount of BP combined in the party. Personally, I never really used it myself, but it doesn't seem all that bad in the grand scheme of things, as it should still deal a good amount of damage. On a side note, I wanted to mention the idea of an ideal party member for Starseer Ophilia. The class combination is really potent if there's a dancer in the party, as they'll be able to grant Celtesia's Seduction to Ophilia, which means all of her crazy good support skills are able to affect every ally. Moreover, you can continually refresh Ophilia with that divine skill if you run BP boost on your dancer, which should be easy to do, especially if Ophilia is already affected by Celtesia's Seduction. I would highly recommend that if you do choose to run Starseer Ophilia, that you also run a dancer on your team as well, whether that's Primrose or someone else with the dancer job. And I should at least give an honorary mention to the Apothecary Job. The Apothecary Job, while not the most supportive role, can grant skills that Ophilia can benefit from. This includes Rehabilitate, Vivify, and First Aid. Rehabilitate cures an ally of any status ailments and prevents more from occurring for an indefinite amount of turns. The reason this is so good for Ophilia is because her base job doesn't have anything similar to Rehabilitate. However, Vivify and First Aid are effectively budget variants of Revive and Heal Wounds, respectively, only that they target one ally instead of every. They're not the worst to have around, but compared to what most of the other jobs mentioned offer instead, you might be better off using a different job. At the very least, it'll give Ophilia a good support skill option in Resist Ailments. Resist Ailments gives a Traveler better odds at resisting status effects, including, but not limited to, poison, sleep, and silence. The last one of the three being one of the most important resistances. Since Ophilia will be using support magic for a majority of her battles, she would want to avoid anything that prevents her from casting said magic. Of course, you could always equip the Articulate Stone, which prevents silence altogether, and save a support skill slot as they're rather competitive. So, instead of running Resist Ailments, you can run SP Saver, which cuts all skill costs in half. I'd argue this is one of her better support skills, since she'll be using skills almost all the time in battle. Likewise, you have Second Wind, which recovers a percentage of the Traveler's SP stat each turn. This, combined with SP Saver, means that you'll rarely find yourself in a position where you need to use items to recover SP for Ophilia. Moreover, for early game, you can run Inner Strength for a solid 50 SP bonus to the current total. It's not a bad skill whatsoever, but I found that over the course of the game, it becomes rather competitive as a support skill. Still nice nonetheless. And then, there's arguably one of the best support skills in the game, known as Saving Grace. Saving Grace allows the Traveler to be healed above their maximum HP stat, which is completely abusable in every battle. If every Traveler in your party were to have this equipped, you can easily turn one heal more with Ophilia, as she has a fantastic elemental defense set and can give each member an additional 2 to 3,000 HP minimum. Likewise, if you want to heal more, you can always combine that with Boost Start and boost for 2 on the first turn. Boost Start allows the Traveler to start with 2 BP on the first turn, so this can make Saving Grace even more abusable during battles. In any case, using these support skills means Ophilia can spend more turns using an ally buffing skill instead of healing. The same can apply when using Patience, as the move will grant a 25% chance at being able to act once again during a turn. It's fairly low, all things considered, but when the opportunity arises, it can be a battle changer. And finally, there's Divine Aura. Divine Aura gives a Traveler a 25% chance to nullify any form of damage from any damaging move performed on them. It's still rather low, but it's obnoxiously amazing when it procs. If you are worried about Ophilia falling in battle, you can always use Divine Aura and leave it up to the RNG gods. And with that about covers Ophilia. While limited in her job combinations, she can still do wonders with the options she has available. Likewise, this is meant to serve as a means of recommending the best of the best when it comes to Ophilia. So don't feel discouraged if you want to use other combinations, because at the end of the day, it's all for fun. I hope that this guide provided insight into Ophilia as well as any help along the way. If there was anything else you would like me to cover on the next Traveler, feel free to let me know in the comments section. Likewise, if there is a Traveler you want to see covered next, feel free to tell me as well. Until then, do the typical YouTube stuff. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, and I'll see you later.